We're going to talk about what some great breakfast choices are. If you're hungry, go ahead and have breakfast, and if you're not hungry, skip breakfast. Now, I know that goes contrary to what we've been taught, but actually we're going to not eat unless we're hungry. And when we are hungry, we are definitely going to eat. Once you actually start to feel a little bit of hunger, now I'm not talking feeling hungry, but just once you feel a little bit of hunger so you know it's time to eat, have mostly fat and protein for breakfast. The only carbs you really want to have for breakfast are veggies. So you can put like onions or mushrooms or peppers, those kinds of low net carb veggies into your eggs if you want, or you could eat them in any way. You could put them in a smoothie, however you want to have them. But ultra low carb at breakfast. You really don't want to waste hardly any of your carbs on breakfast. It's easy to have a high fat breakfast. So what are some examples? You could have 1 egg and a couple pieces of bacon, or 2 eggs, always, well, not always, but ideally cooked in either ghee or butter or coconut oil or a combination thereof. Now, why would you not want to have 3 eggs or 2 eggs and a couple pieces of bacon? You could if you're a really big guy with lots of muscle mass and you don't have issues running over your protein by the end of the day. But for an average sized person, or especially someone around my size who doesn't have a lot of muscle mass, if you have 2 eggs or 3 eggs or 2 eggs and some bacon, you're going to be way over on your protein by the time you get to the end of the day. Other options you get for breakfast from page 161 in the Fat for Fuel book might be a smoothie. So you could make a smoothie with some coconut milk or almond milk, ideally unsweetened in both counts. Coconut milk is going to give you more of the fats. So either coconut or almond milk, like a cup and a half. Throw in some veggies, a handful of spinach, a half a cup of berries. If you're doing dairy, you could do a half a cup of a high-fat yogurt. No more than a half a cup though, especially if you're doing Greek yogurt, because you'll end up again going over on the protein. Speaking of protein, a lot of people love to make protein shakes for breakfast. So that can be really difficult because most protein powders have 20, 25, 30 grams of protein in a scoop, and as you know, that's too much unless you're a heavy workout day. If you've got a lot of muscle and it's going to be a heavy workout day, then you could probably do that much for breakfast. But most of us want to keep our protein under 20, more in the 15 to 18 range at breakfast. If you're doing it with fruit, we don't want to do too much fruit because there's carbs in there. So remember, we're trying to go ultra low carbs at breakfast. So if you are talking fruit, we're talking like 2 strawberries or maybe a 1/4 cup of blueberries, that kind of thing. Sweeten it with stevia. Stevia is always our best choice. So this is Sweet Leaf Stevia Drops. That's the brand that we use here. They're all a little bit different, so find one that has the flavor that you like best, that doesn't have an aftertaste. I'm really sensitive to the aftertaste of stevia, and so as long as I don't overdo it, this brand works great for me. We picked it up at Sprouts. So this is a $25 bottle, which seems like a huge investment, but this will probably last me 6 months, I'm guessing, maybe longer. You can get them in smaller bottles for less money until you know if you like it. We know we like this one, so we buy the larger $25 bottle. It's cheaper per ounce, obviously, that way. So we also picked these up at Sprouts today. They're tabs, they're little tablets. So I keep these in my purse for when I go out to a restaurant. So I don't know how to open the container, but I'm sure once I figure it out, it'll be really easy to shake them out and put them into my coffee. Yeah, well, the other one I had was a screw off. Anyway, so this is great for when you're at a restaurant. You don't want the little blue, pink, or yellow packet. You don't want Splenda or Sweet and Low or aspartame or any of those. You just want to use stevia or xylitol, but stevia has less gastric issues. Xylitol gives me a little bit of gas, so I stick with stevia. You can also get stevia in powder forms in the little packets, but I find when I put those in my purse, sometimes they tear open and make a mess, so this works best for purse. So stevia on the road and stevia at home when you're making your breakfast smoothie or your coffee or whatever. Then what are you going to put in it for fat? What we use here is the unsweetened coconut milk. You can also get it in the cans. So we use a lot of coconut milk. That's what I put in my coffee every morning. We don't use dairy at all. Sometimes we'll use soy milk or almond milk, but coconut milk is my every morning in my coffee. Definitely want the unsweetened. The nice thing about coconut milk is it has pretty much entirely fat. There is 0 protein, 0 carbs, and a whole cup is 4 grams of fat. So it's not too much, only 45 calories in a whole cup. Obviously you're not going to put that much in coffee. But when you're making a smoothie, you might need a cup or even a cup and a half. So that's one option. If you're trying to get your calories up, if you're struggling to get enough fat into your diet, and I know that many of you might have trouble hitting that, another really good way to get your fat up is with coconut milk of this variety. Now, you can buy coconut milk like this at almost any grocery store. It does have more fat than this. It's thicker. This is more liquidy. So a quarter cup of this has 9 grams of fat versus a whole cup only had, what did I say, 3 or 4? But I don't recommend these two. They're just messy and overpriced for what you get. I would either suggest you stick with a carton, or this is absolutely amazing and the best price per gram of fat, if you will. So a third a cup of this has 14 grams of fat. So it seems like it's smaller and it costs more, but you're getting a lot more for your money in this. Mostly this is just a can of water with a little bit of coconut fat in it. So this is culinary milk. This is what we use to make our fat bombs with. We're going to be doing some awesome recipes, little chocolate truffle fat bombs or lemon fat bombs. What else do we do, Bob? Orange fat bombs. We have all different kinds. So this is the milk that we use a lot in our dessert recipes. You could put this in your smoothie too if you wanted to. Okay, so another option for fat is, if you're doing dairy, is heavy whipping cream. That's an excellent way to get your fat up, and it makes your stuff taste really amazing. So by comparison, for example, you have a cup of coconut milk. 1 cup has 4 grams of fat, no carbs and no protein. Also no carbs and no protein in the heavy whipping cream. But in just 1 tablespoon of heavy whipping cream, you're getting 5 grams of fat. So more fat in 1 tablespoon here than in a whole cup here. So, and it really does taste delicious. So I know this sounds weird to keep talking about how to get enough fat, but we really need to make sure that you're getting plenty of fat in all your meals, but especially at breakfast. So I mentioned earlier about the shake. This is the powder that we use. So you'll notice it's not just protein powder. It's called a complete meal. High quality, complete protein, balanced meal. No added sugar, no gluten, no soy. Excellent source of fiber. Has 8 grams of both soluble and insoluble fiber in it, which is part of what helps make it a completely balanced meal. And then it's obviously not genetically modified from dairy cows that don't get the special hormones. And it says balanced macronutrients. So what does that mean? It means it's not just protein powder. So 2 scoops has 18 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, roughly half soluble and half insoluble. You'll be learning more about that as we go. Fiber is really important for both health purposes, lowering cholesterol, helping you lose weight. And then it also has 6 grams of fat in it from coconut. So like we mentioned, you could do a cup of this and get 4 grams of fat, or just 1 scoop of this has almost as much, and it's balanced with the protein and the fiber. So this is what we use. It comes in either whey, soy, or plant-based. So the whey and the soy versions are lightly sweetened with stevia, so you wouldn't need to add the stevia drops. The plant-based one has no sweetener, so if you wanted to make a more of a savory shake out of it, you know, something a little more less sweet, you could use the plant-based one. You wouldn't need to add anything for fiber. It already has the sweetener. You wouldn't need to add the fat. It just makes it really easy to mix up your shake this way. You can, of course, buy it online at their website. You're going to pay retail there. If you talk to Bob or I, we can let you know how to get a free customer account. There's no minimum required order or any contracts or anything to tie you in. Just simply means you have a free customer account with the company, and they'll ship it direct to your doorstep for less than retail.